On today's episode of Locked On Avalanche, a third period to forget for the refs, but at least they'll have a press conference where they'll tell us what they saw. Oh, no, they won't do that. But we're going to talk about them. At least I am. I don't know if Kyle is, but let's do it. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli, with me as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for tuning in, making this your first listen of the day. If you want to get in on the conversation, join our subtext. Link is in the show notes below. Chat with Kyle and I one-on-one. We get your opinion, everything Avalanche related, and share it on this very podcast. We'll definitely do that a little bit later. But yeah, this is going to be all about the Avalanche loss to the St. Louis Blues, 2-1, ends their home game winning streak. Nathan McKinnon's streak comes to an end. His home score. No, he scored the goal. So what am I talking about? He scored the lone goal. So he continues to play well at home. But first of all, this was a great game. I blame myself, Kyle, because after 40 minutes, after two periods, I posted, this is just a great hockey game. This is just a fun, enjoyable, both teams going at it, evenly matched hockey game. And I shouldn't have put that stupid post up, because what happened in the third was, I don't know what, because we don't like to typically harp on refs and make that like the focal point of our show and really lead with it. We'll insert it here and there, like, yeah, that was a bad call. Bad calls are going to happen. What happened in this third, to me, is completely inexcusable, because not only was it just lopsided in the penalties that were called against the Avalanche to the Blues, they were bad calls to start with and end with. And when it's both of those things, if you have three penalties against one team and they're legit and warranted, one of them was, and it was a high stick. The other two were garbage. And the one that didn't get called against St. Louis was even more so. That was the most egregious one. That could be suspension worthy if you want me to go that far for what Bolduc did. And nothing was called there. I'm going to stop and calm down for a minute and let you go, because this was a great game. This was a really good game. And I can't stand when in the third period, the refs insert themselves into a really good game like this. And it drives me crazy. Go ahead.
Oh, my good friend, Chris. We've been doing this for quite some time. And when I saw that post go up, I almost said to myself, this is going to get nabbed by that Hockey X account that's like images before disaster. I knew, I was like, oh God, please. And that third period transpired the way it does. And everybody knows I barely recognize referees as a thing. They're just part of the playing surface to me. And it's one of those, like, I get it. They miss calls. Understood.
Sure,
happens a lot. Happens a lot. And the way I view it, I don't like to get on there on social media or even like watch the game and just let that eat at me, because it's one of those things that happen. We've been on the bad side of that many times as Colorado Avalanche fans.
It usually evens out, right?
Yeah, and that's true. And it usually evens out. And it's one of those things, like, all the yelling and screaming changes nothing, because they're never held accountable. And the way I kept seeing it is, okay, Avs, this is also, we talk about this a lot in this quote unquote garbage time. How do you train yourself for the playoffs? This is a game where you do everything right and you're not getting the outcome you want. How do you adapt and change? I wanted to see what the Avalanche, if they get mad, if they keep pushing, if they overcome this, they pull the goalie. Did not happen. It's one of those things you want to keep an eye on for the future. But yes, I kind of wanted to see one more gear, maybe two, engage, and I didn't see it. Like, hey, Avs played a great game.
Yeah, they
did. It's not like you could point back to, yeah, you would like to see maybe Malinsky take a shot. Yeah, you'd like to see maybe some passes clean up, some turnovers. Miles Wood looked great. Like, he looked like a factor.
Mm-hmm.
Nathan McKinnon scored for you. I mean, at the end of the day, yes, you're checking your boxes. Things did not go your way, and it will even itself out. You've seen hockey puck luck do this many times, and it's a frustrating loss. But also in the grand scheme of things, you've been doing everything right, winning all the games you're supposed to, and you're not gaining any ground. Nothing's being jeopardized. So it, chasing Dallas is becoming more of a unobtainable goal. But yeah, this loss, it doesn't shake anything. It's nothing you want. You don't get any points, but the points you're getting isn't really helping you gain ground on Dallas that really is doing about the same as you.
You said it's a frustrating loss, and it's definitely a frustrating loss for like, yeah, you lost to St. Louis, who beat you. Congratulations, you played a good game. I'm not trying to say like St. Louis didn't play a good game. They played a great game, but you lost to them, and you lost to terrible calls. And when you have, when all of those calls happen in one period, that's 6 minutes that someone like Nathan MacKinnon is not out on the ice. So you can say like, oh, well, they killed him off. Yeah, but that's 6 minutes he's not out there. And I know it's not a full 6 minutes. You can play all 6 minutes of those, you know what I mean? Those are shifts that he's not out there. And he's a difference maker, is he not? So those are shifts that are lost where something could have happened that have gone the Avalanche way. And then to let go what Balduke did is just totally egregious to me, Kyle. Because that's a harmful play. That is something could, very close to, if it's he hits the boards in a different way, he could be out for a while. Like he went directly there's so many penalties you could have called on that. You could have called roughing, you could have called maybe boarding, you could have called interference, shot to the head. Like you could have called a plethora of penalties there. And to call the ones that you did against Colorado, you had a phantom tripping call against MacKinnon, and then is the one against Colton, like at that Colton was the first one, and that one was like I don't want to say you let so much go and that there were penalties missed in the first two periods, because there really wasn't. It was kind of a clean game between two hated division rivals, but you let everything go for two periods. You saw these two teams going at it and you let things go. Great. That's what should happen. That's what should continue to happen. And to call the one you did against Colton, I thought was a little bit, is that where we're going now? And that was the start of a waterfall of just head scratching calls or non-calls. And like, did it make a difference? I'm sitting here saying, yeah, for the simple fact of, you don't have someone like Nathan MacKinnon out there getting shifts at 30 seconds, 40 seconds at a rip. So, and that's just what frustrates me, because it was a great, enjoyable game. And it turned to a frustrating and annoying game because the refs wanted to insert themselves into this thing. And I don't care. And whatever. Post whatever you want. I'm sure we're going to have like St. Louis Blues fans coming in here and typing L's and whatever. I don't care. Do whatever you want to do. Tell us to cry. I don't care. It's easy to say that stuff when you're the ones who benefited from calls and non-calls, whatever. And it would just, know that it was a good game, and congratulations to the Blues for winning it. But the refs helped you out. And if you don't want to admit that, then you can just go back to your own team's boards, because I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
Well, it's one of those that it's still 2 minutes of those 6. Nathan MacKinnon was in the box. And yes, you're not getting prime Nathan MacKinnon, but you still have LOC. You're very good at being shorthanded and get the. And it's still not it's still not a guarantee that anything would really happen with the 5-on-5.
Of course not.
Because nothing happened in that second. Like, I'm not going to. This was a really good game, and I attribute like bad calls and missed calls to like losing a puck in your pads and it drifting in, or one that you put your glove up, you get 9 times out of 10, and it just kind of tips over the webbing and it goes. Like, it's one of those frustrating things that you're like, well, I mean, you did everything right and it goes in. But you want to see the Avs also overcome that. You don't want to see this shut the team down, because guess what? This is going to be the playoffs. Calls are going to be magnified. Physicality is going to be magnified, and you want to see them take a step up.
I like that you brought up the playoffs, because I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
Right after we get through this first break. I'm going to break some things. Let's hear from FanDuel. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. And right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's 200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories to the Auburn Tigers, if you want to do that. Even who's cutting down the nets. Could it be Auburn, Kyle?
Oh, you know it.
I mean, we had our sweatshirts ready to wear and just lined up. We should still do it, though. I'll still represent the Michigan Wolverines. Why not? It's a good game. It's a good game.
It's adorable.
So if you got your eye on a few underdogs this year, FanDuel makes it easy to back them with spreads, totals, and game props. Just visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. All right, Mr. Sullivan, you mentioned the playoffs, and you said like this is how it's going to be in the playoffs. I love asking this question when you have kind of controversy. If this was a playoff game and those calls happen in a playoff game, or even go further, the Stanley Cup final, would people be happy about that? No. So why should we be happy about it? Because it's the regular season.
I'm not saying be happy about it. But this is, what can you do? What can you control?
Well, then, I mean, because that, that would have led to a loss for the Colorado Avalanche. If this was a 7-game series, would you really want to look back and say, like, we lost that game in that fashion? That shouldn't happen, that we lost the game in that fashion. It should be up to the players on the ice. Let it happen. I always take that and bring it back to the regular season, or take the regular season, what happened, and put it into the postseason. So, you don't want to lose a game at any stage, whether it's regular season, opening round, second, third Stanley Cup finals, based on calls like that. And does it get blown up in the playoffs? Absolutely it does. So I don't think we should just minimize it because it's just a regular season game.
Well, I'm not minimizing the
call. No, I'm not saying you are.
Yeah,
I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying in general.
It's not minimizing, and the Buffalo Sabres have made quite the career of talking about a call in the playoffs and it honestly becoming their dynasty. And it's kind of anchored them to that point. But again, this is, bad calls happen. This is a human aspect and a human element of the sport. You have too many men that don't get called all the time. And when those don't get called and something happens, or offsides that are very hit and miss, or elbows, and if you cherry pick, if it was this referee calling the game, oh, that's hooking all day, that's elbowing, that'd be a high stick. I can't believe they didn't call that. You kind of go about it. If this was a win, I wouldn't feel good about the calls either. Like, it's just you got to overcome. And that's what I was looking for in that third period. Nothing happened in the second, which was great. Again, wire to wire, fantastic game. And I'm not saying I'm minimizing it, but I'm not maximizing it either. I'm not allowing those calls to be the reason for the 2-1 loss. You had good chances. You had incredible moments to make this happen. You just couldn't get it done, and you didn't rise up. Even with the pulling of the goalie, you didn't equalize it. You had the opportunities to do that, and it didn't happen. And I'm not saying this is a bad game, bad loss, bad effort. It just didn't happen your way. It's okay. It's an 82-game season. Get them on the next one. But it's one of those things that you've had fluky games like this before and fluky calls, and you just got to overcome this. You can't sit there, because once you start letting this become a factor, if you are wearing that Avalanche sweater and you complain about the calls, then that does not speak well for the discipline and headspace for this team. You got to overcome them, because complaining changes nothing.
And I the thing that I think just annoys me the most is that they all happen in one period. Yeah. Like if you get a bad call in one period, okay, that's 2 minutes out of a 60-minute game that you should be able to overcome that. Yeah, or shouldn't be able to, but you can't really use it as the excuse. But when you have 3 in a short amount of time and then they let one go, that's just maybe the most egregious out of any of them in the game. It just doesn't pass the smell test for me. So, but whatever. Outside of that, that is what it is. We've gone on about it for long enough. Yeah, like you said, from wire to wire, this was a good game. I thought the Avalanche did do a good job. Like you said, when they had to push in the end, you pull the goalie. I thought they did well, but I thought St. Louis did better. In matching them and getting into shooting lanes. They had really good sticks in lanes. Bennington was great. So, sure, the Avalanche tried as they might and tried as best they could. St. Louis was just a notch better than they were. But I thought throughout the game, I really liked how the Avalanche were playing in this game. I thought their passes were they were doing that down low diagonal pass out to the blue line a lot. And that usually opens up a lot of options for whoever's getting that pass on the blue line. You can either fight on net, or because that's going on to the other side of the ice, there's just passes that you can make. And I thought the Avalanche were utilizing that. It was just a team that's playing lesser than St. Louis. You probably get 5 goals in this game because of that play alone. And St. Louis is just dialed in right now, and everything they seem to touch turns to gold. And the Avs just could not. The Avalanche are playing just as well as they are, but when you're playing against a team that's just rolling, just seems like sometimes those things don't work for you.
And and I hate to do this, and it makes me sick to my tummy to do this, but that St. Louis Blues team is a different animal than what we know. This goes to like Jared Bednar. We're used to this fact. Like this is the status quo for us. But a coach that knows how to utilize the talent on their roster is a game changer. Bednar does it night in, night out. Montgomery is doing that with St. Louis. This almost cross your eyes. This is the Boston Bruins of the West. The way they're sacrificing their bodies, and utilizing that, like it is a physical, grindy style with not a lot of household names on that team that are going to wow you. Like that Blues team is it is delightfully average, but honestly, that's Boston.
But they all work together.
They all work together. And that's what's the style of St. Louis hockey that's going on now. They're a hot team because they're starting to believe in this. And hey, they're desperate for their playoff spot too. This is Detroit 2.0. And they push that second wave. They're really fighting. And hey, I mean, all the stick taps in the world, I'm not going to ever mention that goalie by name and say he did a great job, but the rest of that team, that could be a fun matchup if they do run the race. But I like what that team does. It's just one of those things. I'm glad the Avalanche faced it now, because you are going to get games like this, and I want to see you take that next step. That's all I'm going to really take away from this game is, okay, you're not quite there with the frustrating nothing going right games. When everything's going right, no team could beat the Colorado Avalanche.
I will say, like, I don't say I like root for coaches, but I don't like when coaches get like fired because I feel like they're just the first one to take the fall.
Absolutely.
And it sounds weird saying this because it's the St. Louis Blues, but I kind of like seeing someone like Jim Montgomery get let go in Boston for no reason.
No.
And then come over to the Blues, turn them around while Boston is in free fall.
Yeah.
Like I really hope people like, and I say people, front offices, like learn from this. Like it's not always a coach's fault. And I'm getting a little bit of enjoyment seeing those two things happen because he's a great coach.
And he's enjoying it too.
Oh, you have to. Yeah, absolutely. So I do get a little bit of enjoyment seeing that happen. And, people who listen to this show know I'm not the biggest Bruins fan. So it's a little bit extra that it's happening to them. So, we can go on about guys who played well. I thought Sam Malinsky had another really, really good game.
Yeah.
And he's making it interesting for what this offseason is going to be like for the Avalanche on their defensive end, because he's shown that he can be a night in, night out guy. I just really love how he just positions himself. He just knows where to put himself between himself, the defender, and the puck. He's good offensively. He creates offensively. He's really good at transitions. He's been exciting to watch. And I'm interested to see what the offseason is going to be like for the Avs on the defensive end, solely because of him. He gives him a different look. Yeah.
With Malinsky, my two things, I want to see him be a little bit more confident. Pull that trigger, take that shot. If you got it, don't feed it. Take it. And
Which is weird, not to cut you off, but when it's weird because like he normally does.
Yeah,
He's
no.
normally not hesitant to shoot. So that play where maybe he just saw something, or I can't remember who he passed it to. It was maybe a little bit more open than he thought. But go ahead.
And I think with Malinsky's ascension, especially coming out of the Four Nations, I think that Malinsky, he's a really good guy to go to training with, to boot camp with, to dress up and do the drills with. But I want to see what he does in the playoffs when you go to war with him. He's got his foot in the door now. Like he's showing all the right signs. Like you could do the training, you could do the drills. Now, what does it look like when you're in battle mode? That's what I want to see is Malinsky in battle mode in the playoffs. That could open the door in the Brinks truck to, hey, Malinsky, you're exactly what we need. You're probably going to be our third level. You got Taser, you got Makar, and then it'll probably be Malinsky up there when it comes to talent and potential. But you want to see what he does in the playoffs. We've fallen in love with too many regular season darlings on this Avalanche squad. I want to see some more playoff guys.
You're right. I thought Mackenzie Blackwood had a good game. I think it was just, a power play goal for St. Louis, which is it was just a well-designed play. Almost nobody's really going to save that one. And then who got the second one?
Buchnevich.
Yes. Yep. And that's just, he can score. So 2 really good goals for St. Louis. So but overall, I thought this was a good, defensive battle. 2 goalies playing very well, and offensively, I thought the Avs looked good. You're just going up against a goalie who's dialed in. At 27 shots for St. Louis, 29 for the Avs. It's just a very evenly matched game.
Except the face-offs. It's nice to see the Avs winning so many face-offs. Yeah. And you could tell in games like this, again, these are the little parts that you're picking at, like finding hope. Like if you can win in like tight games where every mistake matters, if you're winning face-offs on this level, you're giving yourself every advantage possible to make the most out of those mistakes. So I like what the Avs are doing, especially down the middle.
I'm going to ask you another question that pertains to the playoffs. We'll do it after this. Let's hear from 5 Hour Energy. Daylight savings snuck up on us again. And if you're feeling that lost hour still, 5 Hour Energy, it's got your back. The extra sunshine means more time for fun, but sometimes you need a little boost to power through. And whether you're staying up late to watch the NCAA tournament, which why those we question the NHL scheduling. What is the NCAA schedule? I know they do this every year, but why are we putting games on at 10:30 at night on a Saturday? Explain
it. Was silliness.
Oh, it's crazy. 5 Hour Energy gives you that quick, refreshing pick me up whenever you need it. If you've been, like I said, been staying up late to watch those tournament action, with longer days from the 5 Hour Energy, you can get outside for a hike or a run. And whether you're at the game or traveling, 5 Hour Energy is easy to grab and keep you feeling refreshed. Head to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, and peach mango. You can even build your own 12-pack or 24-pack and have it delivered right to your door. And if you need one now, grab a 5 Hour Energy shot at your local grocery or convenience store because they're everywhere. Stock up and stay energized with 5 Hour Energy. Kyle lives on this stuff. Okay. So another question I want to throw your way is, yes, so this was an Avalanche loss, kind of putting this in postseason perspective. Would that not make you feel good about it's going to be very difficult to beat this Avalanche team 4 times?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, sure, St. Louis got the better of you in this game, and I'm not saying it can't happen that the Avalanche can lose 4 times, but you are going to have to really be an engaged opponent to go out and beat the Avalanche 4 times in a series. They're going to be a tough out.
Yeah, I mean, look, I know we're really lamenting this St. Louis game, but this is also coming off the heels of that Kings game and that road to this game right here. This is that streak that they're on. You don't do that by accident. This team beat teams in every facet of the game. And no matter what you're coming at this team with in a playoff type format, locking them in a series, you do not feel great going up against this version of the Colorado Avalanche. Like we're talking about St. Louis, how improved they look, how they kind of bought into where they're going. the opponents say that about the Colorado Avalanche. This is
Sure.
not the same team you face at the beginning of the year. This is not the same team that you saw going into the Four Nations. This is a different animal, and they scare you. So from the outside looking in, yes, this team will. And if, look, we talked about losing on that. You remember when the ref helped score that one goal against Toronto?
Mm-hmm.
If you had 3 missed calls help you beat this Colorado Avalanche, like if you have to go to like WWE tactics to beat the Avalanche, you know that 5-on-5, best on best, you are in for a super fight.
Sure. Yep. And you do get another crack at St. Louis. You have the Flames coming up on Monday. That's your last. That's the last home game of this home stand, and then you're on the road against the Blackhawks, the Blue Jackets, and then the Blues. So a 3-game roadie after that. So you do play them again. So we'll see how that one goes. Let's hear from some subtext people. Have some people chiming in on this. Electrician Ziggy says, I can't even say the Avs played bad. Got goalied and reffed all in the same game. If the division was tighter, I'd be livid, but we are in the postseason, and that's all that matters. Bring on round 1.
Yep.
You're right. You're right. I mean, like in the grand scheme of it, you're comfortably in a playoff spot. Chasing Dallas was always going to be a long shot. Not that it's, impossible, but but it's less about that, more about just the immediacy in the here and now. And like that just sucks to lose that way. It just sucks. So
be glad be glad you're in a spot where this one is not destroying your season,
right,
or you're having to make all the mental math to make this happen.
Yep.
Be thankful where you are, especially where this year started. I'm with Ziggy.
Yeah, if this was if this game went down and this losing this game like put you out of the wild card 2 spot, you'd be way more up in arms than I am, which I don't know if that's really possible. But, Cody, I was optimistic about this game, but in the back of my head, I thought the Avs were due for a lame loss, because even if they didn't deserve all 4 of the penalties they got, 1 goal is 1 goal. And yes, in my opinion, the refs have seemed a bit biased since the Wedgwood incident. Really? Okay.
Conspiracy
I didn't know there was a starting point for this, but all right. Interesting how a lot of our problems lately came from them, whether it's bogus calls or non-calls, to assisting the other team by having the puck bounce off of them and into the back of our net. I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist, but I might become one with these refs.
I am.
Yeah. We should have a Netflix documentary for this season. Yeah. Kay says, I hate that we have to start thinking about the Blues in the playoffs again. They match up well with the Avs. Binnington and the posts equal the first star of the game. Can't really complain about the effort. Just came up short. It happens. On to the next one.
Yeah, this is where you would want Nas on this team.
Yeah. I know there was the McKinnon hit a post right off he had that breakaway. I don't know if
Charlie Coyle
he
had one.
Post? He was
trying to go top corner and graze that corner, and it rimmed around. That was a really good shot.
Because I think Makar hit like the shaft of Binnington's stick. I think there was 2 of those. Could be, but once again, the Avs are just hitting posts left and right. Ethan says 12-1-1 in the last 14 is dang good run, but don't want it, but need to lose a few. Can't blame the rest for scoring 1 with this team, though. Find the net. You can feel the energy the fans are feeling for this team. Scrub the loss. Okay. Yeah. All right. Not again. He's bringing me down. He's pulling me down.
Yeah, it takes an army to beat this team, Chris. Can't you see with your refs that become a factor? It takes them and the opposing team to beat the Colorado Avalanche. That's the equation here.
Well, Ethan was bringing me down, but Shorzy is going to bring me back up here. The Shorzy we have here. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Holy. I have a serious question about schooling these refs, or the schooling the refs get. What qualifications do they have to have, and are they fudging their resumes?
Yeah.
Look, the refs in any sport have one of the toughest jobs, and for the most part, they do a good job. But it's very odd and rare to see so many multiple screw ups in the same period that go against the same team. That's a weird one for me. So am I going down conspiracy theory road? Not fully. I just think they had a bad game And just like we're saying, brush it off for the Avs, I think the refs are doing the same thing.
Yeah, take notice. All the referees have the same barcode tattoo on their neck. Conspiracy?
Oh,
I think not.
And then Madam Battleaxe, who, by the way, is leading our. Technically, I'm leading it, but I can't put myself in the NCAA bracket. I am leading it. She's leading it right now, so she's at the forefront of being the mayor of Subtextia. Still a couple rounds to go. We'll see how this thing ends. But she wrote, "Getting ready to watch the game. Been in surgery for 12 hours. Not herself. She works in the health field. But can you give me a lobotomy for this game?"
She's low key my hero. Yeah, she really is.
I mean, 12-hour surgery. Now you're going to watch a game. I think we got to give Madam Battleaxe standing ovation here. So
thank you for all you do and schooling us all in our bracket.
I think she deserves to be the mayor. So, all right, let's get to our sound check, and that's where Kyle and I pick one song each that summarizes the most recent game. Put these on a playlist over on Spotify. You can follow along. Search LOA sound check. These are on volume number 4. What do you got for this one, sir?
Well, my friend, it's a tightly contested game for 40 minutes. Got kind of goofy. And then tightly contested towards the end. Gonna go to a band I don't think I've ever pulled before, but I enjoy them immensely. Bowling for Soup.
Okay. All right.
Go pull Almost.
I'd have to see if I know the song based on
what's
this like their big one?
It's probably
I don't know them by title. So
yeah, it's probably like their third or fourth big one. But once you hear it, you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Almost. Like
yeah,
all the ingredients were there. It's one of those that if you play this game again 9-10 times in simulation, it goes an opposite way. You were almost there. And honestly, nothing changes. So you're good.
Okay. I am so playing this ref angle with this sound check because, like I said, like the first 2 periods was great. Enjoyable game, enjoyable back and forth, 2 evenly matched teams. Let's have it decided out on the ice. And then you get to the 3rd period, and again, what happened, I just feel like should not have happened. And that's why I am going with Chevelle.
Ooh.
And the song is Well Enough Alone. Just leave well enough alone, because they could have just decided it between the 2 teams and not have the refs kind of insert themselves into it. And I love the title alone is enough reason, but the way this song starts is.
Oh no, Chris, you froze. Hold on, I'm gonna wait for you to come back, because I can't wait to hear, because Chevelle, we have talked about this before, like off air, like certain bands take you to a certain moment or like sensory thing. I absolutely agree. I cannot wait to hear what you say about Chevelle.
I haven't frozen in like months. Right. So anyway, like right at the beginning of this song, the lead singer's name's Pete. He just takes a deep breath, and you can hear it. It's an audible breath, and then he just screams. And like that's perfect for me right now, because that's exactly what I did. I just took a breath and I didn't scream because I want my kids to freak out. But and then it just goes into just leave it alone. Leave it alone. Let them play the game. So that's where we're at.
Such a good pull. That's a band that takes me back to one town in one time of my life. Jasper, Alabama, baby.
And they just released a brand new song too. So go check that out. All right. That is going to wrap it up for today, everybody. So thank you for tuning in, making this one your first listen of the day. That's always appreciated. We'll be back next week or on Monday, probably. Yes, for a fresh episode and get ready for that game against Calgary. So tune in to that one. But this one, thank you for making your first listen of the day. Always appreciate it. He's Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast, and you are 24 hours closer, Sidney Crosby being in a Colorado Avalanche uniform.
He got goalie too.